Going on, guys? It's another edition on Time Out on 24 Flix. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with my co-host, Mr. Chris Cup. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Man, dude, what a weekend. What a Monday night. How about that? What a Monday night. What a Monday night. That's all I have to say. That's it.
Yeah, and if you're a Bucs fan, that's exactly what a lot of Bucs fans were saying last night after that horrific performance. But we'll definitely get into the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Dallas Cowboys and the rest of the wild card weekend. After that, we may touch upon Jim Harbaugh and his decision to stay with Michigan. Are you surprised by it? I know I'm definitely am. Had some tragedy that happened in college football. And then we'll also talk about LeBron James and the National Basketball Association, even some Orlando Magic here on Timeout on 24 Flix. Once again, I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with my co-host, Mr. Chris Cup. So let's start right there in Tampa. Raymond James Stadium, Monday Night Football, a whole new season. You've got Tom Brady at the controls, and then you get that type of performance. And all I can say about this is nothing has really changed. Even though it's the playoffs, it didn't really matter last night. I mean, you throw the ball 66 times, you run it 12. Tom Brady has a critical turnover. You have all kinds of drops, and the defense looked lost. And I tell you right now, the first two series, I know a lot of Cowboy fans were kind of up in arms. They said, oh, no, not again with Dak Prescott. But after that, 11 for 11 consecutive passes. That offense was cooking last night. Dak with 4 touchdowns, 5 total, as the Cowboys absolutely blow the doors off of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in that home playoff game. If it was even a home playoff game, it seemed like 30,000 Cowboy fans were yelling, how about those Cowboys? So I got to give it to you, Chris. Your thoughts on that big-time win by the Cowboys last night?
Cowboy Nation, baby. Cowboy Nation. Let me tell you, we've suffered for years and years. No playoff victories since 1992. Finally, a playoff win. Dak, the key, 0 interceptions. He had something to prove. He said he didn't look at social media or the news or the comments about him all week. I'm tending not to believe that because everybody doubted him. I think it was 8 straight games, 6 straight games with an interception.
7 straight games with an interception.
7.
And he's leading the NFL with missing 5 games, tied with Davis Mills. And that was the big-time key to the game. Could he not turn over the ball? They didn't turn over the ball. They ran the ball. They were balanced. And defensively, they got after Tom Brady. In fact, it may not look like it on the score sheet at the end of the day, but there was constant pressure on Brady all night long. That offensive line of the Bucs couldn't handle it.
Absolutely. The Cowboys were definitely in the backfield of the Bucs all day, all night. Just Brady was rushing passes. The only time he had success was later in the game. They didn't press as much. Brady sat back in his shotgun and just got whatever he could get. And that's why they got the 14 points, which was, it was pretty meaningless at that point. Excellent game by Dak and the Cowboys. Much congratulations. Very sad performance by the Bucs. I've been covering them all season. It's very frustrating. But you can see the guys are just getting old, man. Getting old. They said they looked old and slow out there versus the boys.
Yeah, they did. They definitely looked old and slow. They need to improve that in the offseason. They may have to retool. They have lots of decisions to make. The number one decision is if Tom Brady comes back last night. From what you saw with him, do you think he comes back to Tampa? Because you listened to his comments in the press conference. It certainly doesn't seem like he's coming back either for the Bucs, or he possibly may retire and go into broadcasting. How do you see this happening?
That's the first time I really thought about him retiring. I mean, it was at the end of a rough game. He was beat for sure. He got beat down and knocked down a lot. But he did say, thank you, everyone. I mean, he gave a profound and heartfelt thanks to the media there. That sounded very much like a goodbye. Goodbye, farewell. Thank you for treating me so well. We really appreciate you. And it was a time will tell. He did say that, in the past he had rushed to declare his retirement and rush to come back. And this time he said he's going to go back and chill and think about it. So hopefully, I mean, there's a lot of teams that want to get a shot at having Brady at the helm. He's still got it, but I don't know. What would you do? If you were Tom Brady, what would you do?
If I'm Tom Brady, I'm going home. I'm going to definitely think about it. And then at the end of the day, if I have 375 million reasons why I should go in the Fox booth, that's what I'm doing, because he got hit. He got battered this year. And then on top of it, he wasn't playing at a high level like he's been doing the last 2 years for this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team, whether it was the offensive line, whether it was pressure getting into his face, whether it was not having the chemistry with Mike Evans, which was probably the most disappointing aspect, because once again, last night, the Bucs have an opportunity to get back into this game, to make it a 10-point lead by the Cowboys, long pass to Mike Evans, and he drops it. That's been a common occurrence all year long for this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team. And probably the most critical play is, and you never would expect it because it's the first red zone interception for Tom Brady being a part of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he throws it. And basically that's a 14-point swing, because instead of, at least getting some points out of that drive, which at the time is an 11-play, 70-yard drive, you get nothing. You throw an interception. You give all the momentum to the Cowboys. They go down and score. And at that point, it's 12-0 because Maher, I don't know what he was doing last night, missing extra points. I got to ask you really quick, going back to that, first and foremost, how much surprised were you by Tom Brady throwing that red zone interception? And are you concerned going forward with your kicker?
Absolutely shocked by Tom's pass. It looked like he was throwing it away, but he said, I think Godwin was trying to cross and they blocked him. So only person left was that Cowboy. I think they have put signs out on the streets in Dallas looking for a kicker. I mean, it's on the hotline. They are all over Facebook, Twitter, every place. We need a kicker fast. Yeah. I feel like Dak. Dak was just cussing all over the sideline. Christian, family man, Dak Prescott. Oh, man, he was throwing a fit after that third one. And someone actually tweeted something that made me laugh. They said, thank you for Maher for honoring honoring Hamlin with 3 missed field goals. But then again, he went in and missed the fourth as well to set the record.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he was doing. He finally made an extra point, and the 30,000 that were in the stadium were cheering him. So Who knows what happens? Of course, they're going to take on the San Francisco 49ers, which disposed of the Seattle Seahawks, which was a close game in the first half. We'll get back to that in a moment. But with the Brady situation, going back to it, I mean, if he's not a broadcaster, does he go to the Raiders? Because all signs are pointing that he's going to join Josh McDaniels, who's his former offensive coordinator with the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't think he's going to the Dolphins, maybe the Jets, but at the end of the day, maybe even the San Francisco 49ers. But for me, the reason why, Chris, he chose the Bucs in the first place is to be close to his kids. So in your opinion, does he deserve a timeout for even considering going to the Las Vegas Raiders and that god-awful team that can't stop anybody that's blown all kinds of leads this year?
I'm not sure if he deserves a timeout for that, because they do have talent. He's familiar with Josh McDaniels. They have some great receivers, great running back. They have a nice setup. So that's a really good possibility. Niners are home. There's no Giselle to lock him down with, so he can pretty much take his family and go anywhere. If I was him, like I said, I'd go down to Miami in my spot and just chill out and retire, not necessarily play for the Dolphins. So I do not think he deserves a timeout for thinking about going to Vegas.
I want to tell you something. He does deserve a timeout. Because the Buccaneers as an organization have rolled out the red carpet for him. You can't get no better than that. I don't know if there's an organization that's going to do the same thing for him. And at the end of the day, I mean, do you really want to go to another team and learn a new playbook, even though he's worked with McDaniels before? You want to be close to your kids. Either go back to the Bucs, you go to the Dolphins, possibly the Jets at the end of the day because you're close to your kids, or you retire. And for me, he didn't necessarily look like he was playing at a high level. Once again, missing all kinds of throws, whether it was pressure or offensive line. Say whatever you want to, but he definitely was not the same Tom Brady this year. Now, reports come out that the Bucs are going to fire Byron Leftwich. Is that the only guy they should fire on this staff? Are you confident with Todd Bowles going forward? Am I wrong? And do I deserve a timeout for wanting to fire Todd Bowles after 1 year?
I'm sorry, but I'm with you. He's so calm and mild-mannered. I mean, via Tony Dungy, I mean, we don't know what happens behind closed doors. He was not effective, man. Bowles was not effective.
Yeah.
There was no fire in the Bucs this year.
None. I mean,
none.
You had a team that was 13-4 last year. They were a couple plays away from being in the NFC Championship game, and a lot of people kind of consider and believe that they could have beaten the San Francisco 49ers, but that's neither here nor there because they couldn't take care of the Rams. But 13-4, Tom Brady returning, unfinished business, all these players, all this talent. You have Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Julio Jones, Rashard White, Leonard Fournette, and you're not able to put up enough points in the game. I understand why Leftwich is being fired. I feel like they should definitely consider Todd Bowles, but at the end of the day, Todd Bowles is going to get most likely another year to be able to hire his own offensive coordinator and his own staff, and we're going to see how it's going to work out.
And then they'll fire him.
Yeah.
There was a name he said that, I mean, we didn't really hear until like the end of the game.
Sure.
Julio Jones, that they spent some money on. It was like the whole season. You really haven't heard his name. He's injured. Yeah, definitely a bust.
He's a shell of himself. Russell Gage went down in this game with a concussion. He tweeted out today he's okay. They had to take him off on a cart. A very scary situation, but he hasn't necessarily worked out. And a lot of that onus is not only on the coaching staff, but also on Jason Lion, who I feel like has done an effective job as the general manager of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But this year, it didn't necessarily work out. So we'll see how that situation plays out here in the next couple of weeks and couple months, because this Buccaneer organization has lots of decisions to make. And then once again, it starts with the greatest of all time and Tom Brady. Now,
let's go positive, man. Let's go positive.
Please.
Oh, my gosh. The darlings that I've been saying all season, watch them. Watch them. They're coming. They're coming. They're almost there. Jacksonville Jaguars. They pulled out a miracle victory. They were down 27-0 into the second quarter, and they won it. They won it 31-30 after the Chargers had a terrible field goal miss late in the game and pretty much slept in the second half. Trevor Lawrence just dinked and dunked and field goal, touchdown, field goal. And they got them back in it when no one saw them coming. And they took it. The Jags took it. How about that?
No, how about that? But that first half was awful, and I picked the Jags in this game. I don't know what Trevor Lawrence was doing. I guess it was playoff jitters. But 4 turnovers, it's not going to get it done. They were very fortunate that you had a god-awful defense in the Chargers who, at the end of the day, they have all this talent, right? I mean, you have Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa and Derwin James, and you're not able to shut the door on the Jacksonville Jaguars. And it comes down to coaching at the end of the day. I don't know how Brandon Staley still has a job with the Chargers. I mean, the week before, he plays Mike Williams, who has a fractured back. Do you think that offense could have used Williams? Could they score more than 3 points in that second half? You bet your bottom dollar they could have. And that's the decision he decided to make. They went conservative, very undisciplined by Joey Bosa, getting caught, getting in the 15 yards, getting tossed out of the game. I mean, just a complete implosion by the Chargers in that second half. And you definitely have to give hats off to the Jacksonville Jaguars. That young quarterback and Trevor Lawrence are able to run the ball with Travis Etienne. And what can you say about Doug Peterson and what he's done in the year's time with Urban Meyer and that mess last year, how he's turned the team around and got through the first round here of the playoffs? Amazing.
It's amazing, right? These guys, they do not quit. And they've been like that all season. They've had several comeback wins, and they did the same thing this weekend. As for the Chargers, they fired offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi and quarterback coach Shane Day after that meltdown, 27-0 to lose. It's incredible.
The third largest comeback in NFL history, and the Jacksonville Jaguars are a part of it. They're going to take on the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead. Do they have a chance? I think they have somewhat of a chance, but at the end of the day, I still think Kansas City wins that game. With that being said, you cannot deny that this has definitely been one of the big-time stories of the year. And once again, I don't know how the Chargers didn't fire Brandon Staley before he got on the plane, before he got on the tarmac, and hire Sean Payton, who would be perfect. He lives in L.A. Right now. He's got a cushy job with Fox. He wants to work with a young quarterback in Justin Herbert. I mean, if you hire Payton, in your opinion, do you think you're a Super Bowl contender? I kind of think you do. You are.
No, Payton has a destination that he's waiting for.
And you think he's going to go to the Cowboys?
Absolutely.
You're not a fan of Mike McCarthy? Mike McCarthy hasn't done enough? What have you done for me lately?
What done for me lately? Okay, he won us our playoff game. Fantastic. I don't think they're getting past San Francisco, honestly. And that's when he's going to get the boot. And that's when Peyton's coming in. You can time out me if you want, but that's my thought.
Chris, you deserve it because the Dallas Cowboys haven't won a road playoff game since Troy Aikman was the starting quarterback in 1992. I think he gets over the hump. Even if you do lose to the San Francisco 49ers, I think he's got a place on this coaching staff. He's going to be the head coach going forward. And who knows, maybe you pull out the upset on the 49ers. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen at the end of the day, but I definitely think he's secured his spot as the head coach of, how about those Cowboys? Let's talk about the Miami Dolphins here against the Buffalo Bills. A lot closer game than I anticipated. Once again, hats off to Skylar Thompson, third-string quarterback. Played well in this game. The first half, though, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle didn't help him out at all. Lots of drops. The defense came up big. They made some big plays, caused some turnovers from Josh Allen. But once again, the Bills go on to win 34-31. For me, it was Mike McDaniel and the inexperience, not able to get off the play. It seemed like it took forever for them to get a play in, and it cost you with penalties and took you out.
What happened? They had 51 seconds to get a play.
Yes.
And, I mean, he says the box upstairs told him it was a first down. I mean, what happened? What did you see? What do you think happened?
I don't know what happened. I can't figure it out. I mean, I think it comes down to inexperience and the great job that McDaniel has done this year that kind of was overshadowed with this game. Even though you keep it close, you got to get the play in. You got to be ready for those situations because at the end of the day, NFL football is about situational football. And when you're in those situations, they're going to cost you 5-10 yards. It's going to take you out of your momentum. And it did that on Sunday versus the Buffalo Bills. Now the Bills will take on the Cincinnati Bengals. I think the matchup that everybody's been looking forward to. With that being said, Josh Allen, concerned about all the turnovers because he's had it this year. Nobody really talks about it. All the things that he can do as a mobile quarterback, but still he turns over the ball. Are you concerned going forward with him and the Buffalo Bills?
I think he's going to come through in the clutch, but man, he's a gunslinger, man. Back in the likes of Brett Favre and a little bit of Steve Young back in the day. But I mean, he slings that ball and he tries to make plays. He's such a big dude, man. I never realized how big he is.
Right.
But he tries to stretch and force like Dak actually used to try to do. But he gets caught. He gets caught up with those turnovers, but they have the talent to try to make up for it most of the time. So this time they barely got through with a messed up fourth down play.
The problem for me with the Buffalo Bills this year is as great as they are on the offense and they do turn over the ball, but Josh Allen can make some plays and he's one of the best young quarterbacks in the league. That defense is highly suspect, especially without a Von Miller. Without a consistent pass rush, they give up way too many yards in the air and also on the ground. I'm not sure if they have a playoff defense that can take them to the next round. And I tell you right now, Cincinnati, which we're going to get back to in a moment, it's going to be a tough test. Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, of course, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, they're going to have their hands full. That may be a shootout. And at the end of the day, I kind of favor Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. With that being said, that game on Sunday night, no Lamar Jackson, of course, the big time story. Huntley started for this team. They kept it close. They had an opportunity at the end with the Hail Mary. It was nearly caught to tie the game up, but it definitely changes once again the momentum. It's always that one play where they run a quarterback sneak, and basically the Cincinnati defender rejects him. The ball gets popped in the air, and Hubbard runs back 98 yards, and that changes the whole complexion of the game. Your thoughts?
You want to talk about glorious, magical plays in football? That was one of them, man. Just seeing him run it down, ball up in the air by himself on that interception after the team fought so hard in that game, and that was definitely a play to remember. Absolutely. But I do have a question for you.
Yes.
Since the DeMar Hamlin situation and the game was postponed against Buffalo, why isn't this game at a neutral site? Why is it in Cincinnati? Since both teams had a chance to advance with that game with a win, and it was postponed.
Yeah, I thought it was in Buffalo. Is it in Buffalo or Cincinnati?
It might be in Buffalo. Yeah,
I think it's in Buffalo because Buffalo overall had the better record. Right. So why is it a neutral site? It's a great question. I don't know. I don't understand it. I have no idea why it's not. That's why at the time I think you should have played the game somehow to decide, because now you would think Buffalo has the home field advantage, right? I mean, cold weather situation. The NFL should look at it, but they're not going to look at it. The Bengals are going to be at somewhat of a disadvantage. They've kind of been at the disadvantage they felt like all year long, with the possibility of having a coin flip, right? If they lost the Ravens. So they had to take care of that business and that nonsense. And as much as I love the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen, I really think this Cincinnati team is coming on at the right time. I'm kind of thinking Cincinnati, even with the home field advantage of the Buffalo Bills, can go in there and beat that team.
It's going to be a great game. It's just, Cincinnati, Joe Burrow just gets beat up so much. Every game, that line is still not protecting him, but they are just making these big comebacks and big wins, just like last year. Again, they're going to deserve to go to the big game. I hope that they progress past Buffalo, but that's going to be a fantastic game to watch. We'll have to look at the weather forecast, definitely in that one. Make sure there's no snow heading up to Buffalo, since he's used to the cold. So that's not really a great advantage, but we'll see how it goes, man. I'm pulling for the Bengals as well in that match.
Yeah, and I'm checking right now to see when that game is and where that game is at, and it is the Bengals at the Bills. Yes, and of course the Bills are 14-3, the Bengals are 13-4, disadvantage. So we'll see how that works out. But I think that's what a lot of people wanted to see a couple weeks ago on Monday Night Football. Of course, it got cut short with the Hamlin situation. So must see TV at the end of the day next weekend. In the divisional playoffs. Let's go back.
Let's talk about my boys, my home team.
Let's talk about team. Yes.
The Giants, who played just down the road from where I grew up in northern New Jersey.
Right.
They pulled one out, man. Big game for the Giants against the Vikings. They got their revenge after what they consider a lucky win against Minnesota, that Minnesota snatched one for them with a field goal. They put it to them, man. 31-24. The Vikings tried to come back, but the Giants stopped them. Danny Dimes, 24 for 35, 300 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, plus 78 yards rushing from Danny Dimes. If he saw it, he just took off. And you could see that the whole game until they plugged it up. He was just taking gap after gap after gap, 3 yards, 5 yards, 7 yards, 10 yards. And until they stopped him, he kept doing it. So good for the Giants. To my family up north, who is finally happy with a team that's kind of moving on in the playoffs after watching the Jets just fall apart. Congrats. Just hope you guys don't see us late in the championship game. So good look for the Giants for sure, man.
And you talk about Daniel Jones, and I've been very critical of him because throughout his career, he's been a turnover machine, and he's cut that off this year. He cut it off in this game. First player in NFL history to throw for 300 yards and also rush. I mean, just pretty amazing stats considering that this guy was looked at as possibly being out of there, not a starting quarterback, and what he's done. And, hats off to not only Saquon Barkley with staying healthy and how different that offense is at the end of the day, but also Brian Daboll. I mean, what has he done as the coach in the first year has just been amazing, right up there with Doug Peterson. I don't know who the coach of the year is between Doug Peterson and Brian Daboll. It's been masterful by him.
Absolutely. Both of them have done a great job. I was thinking about that with Daboll and Wink Martindale.
Yeah.
Remember those old game shows with Wink Martindale?
Right. Exactly.
His name. But they've been doing it, man. They have really been doing it. The Giants have a new attitude, kind of just like Jacksonville, except Jacksonville is a younger team, but the Giants have really been coming through it, and they need to put that to a stop because the Cowboys are coming soon. So,
and you go to the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, how bad are they when you're 13-4, but all year long you're winning close games. You're 11-0 in those close contests, and of course you lose this one. Why? Because your defense. And somebody has to explain to me why Jefferson wasn't targeted more in the last couple games. He disappeared. He was like a man on the milk carton. And also explain to me how Kirk Cousins on 4th and 8 is going 3 yards to TJ Hawkinson. You have no opportunity at all to get the first down. You have to throw the ball down the field. And once again, Cousins does what Cousins does best. Chokes when it comes to the primetime moment, and he did on Sunday, in my opinion.
Yeah, it wasn't even prime time yet, but, everyone was watching, so it jokes every time. I mean, it wasn't an 8 o'clock game or anything like that, but that's why no one trusts Cuz, man. Nobody trusts Cuz.
Yeah.
You don't trust Cuz.
Wearing all the chains and everything like that.
Yeah.
To anything, a 13-win team is out. The New York Giants, of course, are moving on. Let's look at the San Francisco 49ers against the Seattle Seahawks. This was surprisingly close. I thought it was going to be. Geno Smith was playing well. The matchup with DK Metcalf versus Ward in that secondary was a mismatch nightmare. They got some big plays down the field. In fact, a touchdown. And they were close in this game, 23-17. But guess what happens? You turn over the ball in the red zone, much like Tom Brady did last night versus the Dallas Cowboys. Geno Smith fumbles it. You give the momentum to the San Francisco 49ers. And after that, once again, a big game. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. Again, Mr. Relevant for this team. Just killing it right now. The defense getting after it with Nick Bosa. I don't know what you say about San Francisco because what they're doing right now is amazing on all sides, all phases of this team. Offense, defense, special teams. They're getting it done, and they're quite scary right now.
Yeah, that's what makes me nervous. I mean, these guys are solid with a third-string quarterback. They're still doing it.
Yes.
Mr. Irrelevant, they are still doing it. It's like it doesn't matter who our quarterback is. We can do it. Just plug someone in. Props to them, man. They are really, really good. Seattle gave them the opening, and they took it, and they kicked the door open. I mean, gosh, 41-23.
Absolutely.
Crazy.
You add Christian McCaffrey to the mix. You get Samuel back. Nobody talks about Brandon Ayuk. He's one of the most underrated wide receivers on this team. I mean, they have plenty of weapons. It just comes down to Purdy. Purdy. Can he continue to get it done the way he's doing it? And you look at this matchup, that offensive line versus Micah Parsons and that Dallas Cowboy defensive line. I think it's kind of like a matchup of old there, offense versus defense, although Dallas has their fair share of weapons. I get it. You're a Cowboy fan, but how do you see this matchup playing out?
Like I said, I really don't see Dallas getting past this team. I see the defense matching up pretty well against them.
Right.
It's the offense and that San Francisco defensive line and that defense is so solid. I mean, it's frightening. No one has really done a lot against them. So we'll see what the Cowboys come up. I anticipate Dak running for his life quite a bit, but hopefully he stays responsible and doesn't throw even more picks. He did very well against the Bucks, but this is a whole nother animal that they're about to face. So I'm very, very concerned about this matchup.
And you should be concerned about it, but in order to stay in this game, you have to play perfect. You can't turn over the ball. You have to run the ball also with Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard, which is what they were able to do last night versus the Bucks for 100 yards of rushing. I think that's how you stay in the game. But at the end of the day, I think San Francisco goes on to win, and they're going to be in the NFC Championship game. Now, my next question is Giants versus the Philadelphia Eagles, who are well-rested. They got the bye week. Jalen Hurts still banged up a little bit. Every player at this point is banged up. But how do you see this matchup working out? Can the Giants actually pull the upset if they play the way they did versus the Minnesota Vikings?
Nah, son. No.
Philadelphia.
Not with Jalen. Not with Jalen.
Okay.
Not with Jalen in there. He's going to sling the ball all over the place, and he's going to handle business. He had another week to rest. He hung in there in the last game, and I think that he's gonna get the job done and get Philly moving.
I'm tempted to take the Giants. I really am.
Yeah,
I love Daniel Jones is playing. I love how Saquon Barkley, how they're getting the coaching right now. But there's something about this Philadelphia Eagle team, and you said it best. Jalen Hurts, to me, could be the MVP of the league, the way he stepped up this year, the way he's played, how important he is to that offense. And you got A.J. Brown. I don't know who's going to be able to match up. I get it. Adoree Jackson did a phenomenal job on Joseph Jefferson for the Minnesota Vikings. Can he do the same thing versus A.J. Brown? And then on the other side, you have Devontae Smith. If you want to run the ball, you can with Hurts. So they just have a plethora of weapons, and defensively, they can also get after it. And they have two of the best corners in the league. So for me, I like Philadelphia. NFC Championship game, Philadelphia versus the San Francisco 49ers. How do you see the AFC playing out? We've already talked about Cincinnati and the Buffalo Bills. How do you see that matchup? And Kansas City, do they get past Jacksonville, where they're also the number one seed in the AFC Championship game?
Kansas City had some time to rest. They had the time to chill out. A lot of times they come out a little rusty at the beginning after some rest. And Jacksonville will try and do their thing and work through their defense. But, once St. Patrick wakes up, it's going to be a different ball game. I don't think they're going to let this one go. I have seen some games where they were very disorganized and just bad passes, bad plays. Yeah. But this is for the marbles. I think they're going back to the AFC Championship game. Buffalo and the Bengals, man.
Right?
Man. It's an emotional matchup.
Yep.
Really, which has never happened before like this. This is unprecedented. So they're back on the field together. At least it's not in Cincinnati, but still. Two super skilled teams. Buffalo's defense, like you said, is a little suspect. And then they got Joe Burrow for the Bengals. I would really love to see the Bills actually advance. Josh, and that's who I'll go for. I'll go for the Bills.
And I actually can't. I think Cincinnati could win that game. And of course, the last year here, they've beaten the Kansas City Chiefs 3 times. So why not beat them a 4th time and get back to the Super Bowl again? I don't know. I go back and forth. The emotional stuff there with DeMar Hamlin being good, but the defense concerns me. But still, I don't know. I don't know. I think I guess I'm going to go with Cincinnati. Say Cincinnati and KC in the AFC Championship game, but I may be wrong about that. With that being said, Aaron Rodgers, his theme song should be the last couple of years. Should I stay? Should I go? You've heard rumors about this guy possibly hanging it up. In your opinion, have we seen the last of Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers?
I wish. He's got a big paycheck coming, so that's a huge motivation, man. Doesn't he like $25 million or something like that coming next season?
It's like a $50 million contract they signed him to, which is ludicrous.
It's crazy.
Because here's the thing. You can sign all these quarterbacks, and we talk about Lamar Jackson wants to get paid like Deshaun Watson, and of course Dak Prescott and Aaron Rodgers. But Here is the reason why you shouldn't do that. It's called the Brady Blueprint. You signed that guy for less money. He signs for less money all those years. He gives his teams the opportunity to compete for championships over and over again to help his organization out. If you sign a quarterback, and I get it, the market is out there for it, basically you're losing a number one wide receiver. Case in point, Aaron Rodgers loses Devontae Adams to the Raiders. Why? Because of the contract, because of the drama. Amari Cooper, Dak loses him to the Cleveland Browns. So there's consequences for it. Patrick Mahomes loses Tyreek Hill because he signed a big-time contract. So be careful what you wish for at the end of the day. And I feel like, the Packers should just tell him to go pound sand. They won't. They won't.
No, they won't.
After Jordan Love a couple years ago, I mean, eventually we're going to see what this guy can do. He's a first-round pick. But Aaron Rodgers, again, going back and forth, should I stay or should I go? And I don't know if we've seen the last of him, but I tell you right now, he definitely wasn't the same Aaron Rodgers. I think he's in that same conversation as Tom Brady, right? He's not the same player that he was about 5 years ago.
The exact same conversation as Tom Brady. Again, other people are going to be looking at Aaron Rodgers for a quick fix, maybe to get themselves over the hump with the weak quarterback position. But I don't know, man. He's so flaky. And I think Green Bay is the only place that's going to deal with him because they have the contract with him. So I would say it's either retire or stay, honestly.
I mean,
to get that check.
Yeah, you can retire or you can stay or you can play. You can hold the organization back. You can get traded.
Oh, he will.
I don't think there's another team that's going to trade for him out there. I mean, I think the Jets would be mentioned if the Packers are going to pay the majority of that contract. But what's kind of confusing about the whole situation, and I get it, it's the personal life. He's now dating the Milwaukee Bucks owner's daughter. So I think he's going to stay in Green Bay at the end of the day. With that being said,
well, man. Stay and get that check. Stay and get that check.
I mean, stay, get that check, and hopefully don't drink anything in the offseason because it certainly seemed like it affected his play this year. What else is on your mind about the NFL that kind of caught your eye?
Man, just different things. Really, the Lamar Jackson situation.
Yeah.
What does Baltimore do? I mean, he's still a high-level quarterback who's often injured.
Yeah.
So if you let him go, how are you going to replace him? Someone with his skills, he is productive, but he's not there half the time. So it's really a tough position. Are you going to pay him, which I feel he deserves to be paid as much as those other high-level quarterbacks, but he's not on the field. He's gone. It's getting worse and worse.
Availability. It's all about availability, but he's
That's the best ability is availability.
And that's it. He's a couple of years removed from being an MVP. He's taken that to the playoffs. He adds a totally different dimension to that offense at the end of the day. You saw the quarterbacks that play for him. They're not getting it done. But I can't be mad at Lamar Jackson because, he wants to get a contract. He doesn't want to affect his status at the end of the day. He's making a business decision. I understand that because he's an agent. There was some controversy with some remarks or some comments by Michael Vick saying you should brace up, and then RG3 saying no, he has the right to do what he wants to do. So in your opinion, who's right on this? Is it Michael Vick saying you should brace up and play? Because Michael Vick's saying he played through a knee injury all year long, so Lamar should do the same thing. Or should he take the advice of RG3, who had his own big-time knee injury and was never the same player after that?
Lamar, he's on the market, man. He's on the market. He's a used car out there. So you're going to go out there and break your axle after it's sprained right now? Plus, he replied to the tweet with a list of his injuries and what he's going through. I mean, sure, he didn't fly out to Cincinnati, but I mean, what's the big picture here? I mean, are we looking at one little game against Cincinnati or that you can't play? You're not going to play. I wouldn't play. I would heal up and try to make that money. So I'm sorry. He's on the market. He's still getting detailed. His detail isn't finished. So no, man. I think Lamar made the right choice for Lamar. Put it that way. Maybe not for the team,
Right.
But for him, it's the right choice.
No, I agree. I absolutely agree with you on that. You have to make a business decision because at the end of the day, that's what a team is looking out for. If your play drops off, if you're not as productive as you were the year before, they're going to try to cut your pay. They're going to try to cut you. They're going to try to trade you. He's the agent right now. He's a free agent. Of course, Baltimore can franchise him and then trade him. They basically hold the cards at the end of the day, but he could definitely stomp his feet and try to get out of there and make it a lot worse of a situation. There's always a team out there that wants Lamar and see what he can do because he could do so many things on the field. Hopefully not off the field. That's the big issue at the end of the day. He definitely has to get a lot healthier.
Let's talk about someone that other teams also wanted.
Yes.
Jim Harbaugh. They wanted him as head coach in the NFL.
Correct.
He made an announcement that he's staying at Michigan. He says, I love the relationships that I have in Michigan. Coaches, staff, families, administration, President Santaono, and especially my players and their families. He said, my heart is at the University of Michigan. I once heard a wise man say, don't try to out happy. Go blue. So he's staying. What do you think about that?
I'm shocked. I'm completely shocked. I feel like he needs a timeout. Because he's taken Michigan to everywhere you can go. You've beaten Ohio State 2 consecutive years now. You haven't been able to get into the national championship. I get it. You want to deliver that national championship. But the NFL itch is there. He was a better NFL coach, in my opinion, exactly what he did with the San Francisco 49ers. I think Denver would be a great situation with Russell Wilson, possibly the Indianapolis Colts. So I'm completely shocked by it. I understand the loyalty, but there was also talk of allegations and stuff like that. I mean, it kind of sounds like Pete Carroll, get out when the getting out is good. And he's going to stay. So maybe those allegations are not as bad as we originally thought they were.
Right. I guess not, man. So he's staying put, nice and comfortable in Michigan. Some news from the NCAA champ football team, Georgia Bulldogs. One of their killers and one of their players and staffers were killed in a car crash after one of their celebrations. Pretty sad. Yeah. You know, they had a day-long celebration, back-to-back championships. 20-year-old offensive lineman Devin Willock and the 24-year-old recruiting staffer Chandler LaCoy were killed. And also offensive lineman Warren McClendon and 26-year-old staffer Troy Bowles were injured in a car crash that they said was caused by excessive speeding. So I don't know if there were beverages going around, probably at a celebration of a win. Right. But, we send some love to those families. It's tragic. But, this stuff happens, man.
Yeah, disappointing. Thoughts and prayers to all the families out there. And, of course, you know that Georgia right now is hurting. Everything was going their way. You win a second consecutive national championship, and you have this happen. It's tough. It's a tragedy in sports. It's especially with young men dying. It's very sad.
Absolutely, man. Well, let's go to the NBA. LeBron James, the greatest player of his era. I'm gonna say that.
Well, you can even argue that if you want. Kevin Durant's definitely in that conversation. There's some other Kawhi Leonard is definitely in that conversation, and I say that because these are players that played against LeBron James and won MVPs for their respective teams during the NBA Finals. But absolutely, what LeBron James is doing right now. And again, I hate this whole debate of he's the greatest of all time, period. He's better than Michael Jordan. He's better than Kareem. He's better than Kobe. Come on. Just let him have his era. What he's doing right now is amazing at his age, even though the Lakers are not a great team. It's amazing. Right. And he's going to most likely pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who really doesn't get that much pub when it comes to greatest players of all time. But in his day, he was pretty good himself. And he was. Means a lot. He has played a long time, but he's still playing at a high level. So good for LeBron James and good for the National Basketball Association.
Absolutely. And this week, he eclipsed 38,000 points on Sunday against the Sixers. And now he only needs 316 points to be the leading scorer in NBA history and pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Can he get it?
He's on his way. He'll definitely get it. Yeah.
He'll definitely get it, you think? Okay.
He'll definitely get it. Yeah. There's no doubt. There's no doubt at all.
We know he wants to play with his son, if that's going to happen or not. We don't know what kind of prospect his son is, but
yeah,
whomever drafts him, and I thought about this, look, if the Orlando Magic decided to draft him when they get the opportunity to get LeBron James, that would be just crazy in itself. I like what Orlando is doing right now, but going back to LeBron James, it's great again for the NBA, and we'll see how it works out. We'll see how it works out for the season and the LA Lakers, but definitely something to focus on at the end.
Right. And then big news out of Orlando. Jonathan Isaac.
Wow.
A blast from the past. The last episode, we talked about him practicing full practices with the Magic. Now he's actually playing. He's playing in the G League, the Magic's G League team. First game back, 15 points, 15 minutes against Washington Wednesday night. And the Lakeland Magic beat Westchester, the Westchester Knicks, 129-117. That was last Wednesday. So he's been playing with them. He's getting up to playing speed, and he will be back. So the Magic will again have to figure out how to fit him into their scheme and their flow. Once they do, they're going to be heading to winning ways because they're already doing much, much better. 2 losses out west against Denver and Utah, 2 of the best teams in the West. But they did handle Golden State and they did handle Portland. So winning ways are still there. So the Magic times for the Magic are looking up for sure.
Yeah, this young team is learning how to win, and this is a young player. When he came out of Florida State, I'm very familiar with him. The wingspan, he has all the athletic gifts. He's just not been able to stay healthy. And the comparison coming out, as crazy as it sounded at the time, Kevin Durant. I mean, that's the type of game he can have. Again, you can't teach length. You can't teach a guy to be able to guard on the perimeter. That's exactly what he was able to do in college. You haven't seen enough of that with the Orlando Magic, so it'll be nice to see, knock on wood, hopefully he can stay healthy to already add to this collection of talent that this young Magic team has early on in this year.
Absolutely. So Markelle Fultz, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, Jonathan Isaac, Wendell Carter Jr., starting 5.
Scary.
Yeah.
Scary. And then you got Bol Bol. You forgot about Bol Bol.
Yeah. Bol Bol.
Kind of a surprising piece, but kind of a unicorn in himself. I mean, you've seen the guy run the floor. You've seen some of the things he does. And look, a lot of people say, well, they should trade some of these young guys to maybe get a superstar. I say, let it marinate, as the kids would say. Let this all marinate together. See if they can have this collection of talent. See if they can learn how to win games. And if you want to go out and get a superstar that you feel like is going to work in this team, that's not going to disrupt the chemistry in that locker room, go for it. But I don't think the Magic are ready yet. But I tell you right now, they have been very impressive. I've been watching them, especially Boncaro. Just amazing kid right now and what he's doing, 20-point games, rebounding. I mean, his game is just light years from all the other players that are in this league right now. Absolutely.
Paolo has been amazing. He's been getting highlights. Everyone is watching. Finally, the Magic actually exist. And slowly, there's going to be more and more noise coming out of Orlando. Quick Orlando City news. Arsenal from the Premier League is in talks to acquire Orlando City star forward Facundo Torres, who has been their light for the last year and helped them get into the playoffs. 9 goals, 10 assists, and 33 appearances in his first year in the MLS. And Europe is already calling, so we'll see how long he stays. He might be gone pretty quick. Too much talent to stay over here in the U.S.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm still waiting for that soccer presence here to kind of transition over. Like a lot of people felt like it's going to be doing that for many years. Like I know you're a soccer fan. I got to ask you really quick. What did you think about Pele and his passing?
Tragic. I got to see Pele when I was younger. I got to go to a Cosmos game, which is pretty cool. He was much older, he's just doing this thing. Giorgio Canaglia, Pele. But I mean, seeing his story and where he came from, just poverty and nothing. He's one of the greatest or the greatest soccer player ever in the world, and to lose him is a massive loss. Definitely an ambassador for worldwide soccer for sure. Rest in peace.
I got to go to a soccer game with you sometime because I'm not into it. But I tell you right now, the World Cup kind of got me interested in it. I'm still interested in it. So maybe we go to one of those Orlando games and check out the sights and sounds. It's always it's a fun time. So what else is on your mind here on Timeout on 24 Flix?
Man, come on up and do that, man. Timeout has been great. This is really, really a building platform and show for us. We'll be here each week with these episodes, so bear with us. We're still kind of getting our feet in the mud and getting our feet in the ground, but it's going to improve week by week. Sports is just cranking, man. There's so much news. We can't cover everything. I mean, what is this? Like the Warriors were at the White House and Biden was talking to them. Warriors and Spurs played at the stadium and broke attendance records. That's just a couple of NBA stories that are going. Tons of football stuff. There's stuff all over the place. Soccer, MLS is already in preseason. I mean, they're starting again, man. I can't keep up.
Baseball right around the corner. Training with
the
Rays and, of course, the Miami Marlins. So lots of great stuff to talk about here on Timeout on 24 Flix. For Chris Cuff, my co-host, I'm your host, Peter Blake. Definitely tune in to Timeout because you never know when you're going to get Timeout.
We'll
see you later.